What's happening, Hardscapers? Let's get into a project that I quoted. I'm going to walk you through everything from start to finish in terms of what I'm looking for on the job site when I first go for that initial consultation and how I quote that project. Let's get into it. I want to walk you through this project, show you what we did to be able to calculate what we're charging the client for this project, what that looks like. When meeting with a client, we need to understand what they want with their space. In this case, the client wanted a patio that they could use coming out from their house. So we need to immediately understand what we're going to do with the water that comes off that patio. And with this yard sloping away from the house, we can follow that slope for the water to drain right off this property. However, in this case, the slope is too large for us to build our patio on the existing grade. So we need to opt for a raised patio. This allows us to get our 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch slope per foot away from the house. The client didn't want a raised patio, they wanted it to be a seat wall, so we just raised that raised patio up into the seat wall, but kept that patio following a 1/8 of an inch per foot slope away from the house. We know how many steps we need to add to this outdoor space coming up from the threshold by just dividing by about a 7-inch step to give us how many steps we need. In this case, we need to build 2 steps to give us 3 steps up from the patio to the threshold. So it's about a 21-inch drop from the threshold down to the patio. We also knew on one side of this patio, it would be meeting the existing grade, whereas the other side of the patio, we were about 5 inches off of the grade. So we decided to install a small 5-foot step for them on that side of the patio. The client also wanted landscape lighting, which was perfect for us, so that was included in it. And with all of this information, we can now start to plug in these numbers into our budget and estimate spreadsheet to understand what this project is going to cost. Using production rates with the square footage amount for the patio allows us to come up with the amount of time that it's going to take us to complete this install. This is going to take a percentage of our overhead expenses and apply that directly to that project, because we know how many hours we have in a season and we know how many hours this job is going to take us to complete. And this gives us a percentage of how long this job is going to take compared to our season, and it's going to take a percentage of our overhead expenses and apply it directly to this project. I can then apply my 2 laborers to this project with my own salary, and then I finally just need to figure out material costs. And then I can do the same for the production rates for the steps, as well as the seat wall and the landscape lighting. And all of this allows me to then get material costs for everything and finalize my quote with the profit percentage that I want to get on this project. And that is how I come about the numbers. It's not quite as easy as just taking a square footage from your patio and applying it to your production rate. We break everything down step by step, from excavation to base preparation, screeding, laying, polymeric sand and edge restraint, all the way to each additional cut that we need to make, chiseling the caps of the natural stone, building our walls, and having an extra factor for however long we think additionally we might take with this project based on different variables, including access to run from the backyard to the driveway. Each of these has a production rate from square footage to linear footage to maybe even just a base unit. But all of this gets applied when we're estimating a project so that we do not miss a single step in it. Let me break it down for you step by step and what I'm also looking for in this project. So all my pricing is based on production rates, averages of in the past, how long it's taken me. And what I do is basically this project, I'll break down into sections. So we've got a 5-foot step, 1 rise. We've essentially got 2 4-foot steps, 1 rise, and 2 2-rise 4-foot steps. So I've got my production rates for my past steps, how long they've taken me, these ones especially, and then I'm able to calculate how long that's going to take me, and then factor in how much my overhead is going to be for that, my labor costs, and my material costs. I then can calculate the square footage of this patio, again based on production rates, how long that's going to take me, my overhead costs, my labor costs, my material costs. Then I can calculate the face footage of this wall. How long is it? How many face feet are in it? And I can then, as a seat wall, calculate again overhead, labor costs, material costs into that, and add my profit on top of everything. Additionally, I can add up the hardscape lights. We got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 on each of these ends is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I can add up my material cost. That lighting really doesn't take me too much more time to be able to do this, but I have an estimate on how long it takes me to make the connection on each one, as well as to sit the wire connectors inside of this column of these retaining walls and to run the wire to our transformer. Additionally, the caps, we've got 3 cuts here to give us the curve, and the backs of them had to be chiseled. So I factor all of the small things into my production rates as well. I don't let anything slip by. One thing that I did not factor into this job is this wet cast wall and how bad the tolerances are on this. And that took a lot of fidgeting around, shimming, gluing, whatnot to be able to get it to sit nicely. So this is my first big project with a wet cast wall just like this, and the tolerances were up to 1/4 of an inch in some spots, and just having to play around with the different material, finding the best piece to marry into the next piece so the tolerance wasn't that much, took a lot more time than I thought it would. Now, some other variables that need to be considered are the run from the front yard to the backyard to be able to do this. That's going to vary. Typically I break that down from a small, medium, and large size run based on the projects that I take on. Typically I don't have a project that's any longer than this distance, about 50 feet to the driveway, where we'll have a bin dropped in the driveway for our excavation. Additionally, where in my business, most of the equipment I rent, that also needs to be factored into what equipment I'm going to have on this job for how long, and that's going to be factored in the cost of sale or the material cost. And now with all this information, we can take a simple yard, transform it into something like this, and still make the money that we need to make in our business to remain profitable and keep going for our clients, because we offer a warranty on our projects for our clients, and we want to make sure that we make the money we need to make in order to be able to serve them more in the future if anything ever comes up or if they want to add on to their project. If you found this video helpful, like this video, comment below what you thought. If you want to learn more about our budgeting, estimating, and everything that we've got in terms of knowing our numbers in our business, check out the link in the description if you want to get your hands on the budget and estimate spreadsheet that we have over at howtohardscape.com, as well as any courses that we have available to you there. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.